Hey y'all, welcome back to this week's episode of AMA Friday with Amy Miller, Recruiting in Yoga Pants. So we're going to dig into interview prep, not a new topic on the channel. We've definitely had this conversation a few times, but I want to look at it through a slightly different lens this week, and I'm kind of merging a couple of topics together. So one is just like over preparing. Is there such a thing? Can I be over prepared for an interview? Possibly. I'm going to explain. I think it is possible. And then kind of related to that, what about notes? Can I bring notes to an interview? Can I take notes during the interview? How much can I rely on, documentation that I've brought with me? Going to discuss that as well. So I want to go on record. I take a lot of notes. I write down things when people are talking to me. I write down things as I am talking. It helps kind of cement it in my brain a little bit. Like I need to write it. You want me to remember it? You better let me write it down or I will forget. So that's very helpful for me. So I am definitely the queen of bringing lots of paper with me and notebooks. I did actually get a Kindle Scribe, which I freaking love because I love to write things down. So it works out great for me. But back in the day, old school notebooks, different colored pens, you name it. So that's just kind of how my brain is organized, I guess, or my attempted organization. Wouldn't make sense to anyone else, I understand, but it works for me. So I love having notes. I absolutely bring my notes with me. The last, not the last time I interviewed, but the last time I interviewed for a job that I got an offer for and accepted was pre-COVID, a little over 5 years ago. And I took notes. I went into the office, they put me in a conference room, had people come in and out to meet with me, and I had my stuff laid out all over the table. I had my notebooks, my pens, my highlighter, my everything. I was ready. And I leveraged that through the interview. As they were asking me questions, as we were having discussions about certain parts of my background or certain things that I'd done, I was referring to my notes, jogging my memory. Oh yeah. And then I would start telling my story. And then we would go through back and forth. They'd ask clarifying questions and whatever. So I had those notes in front of me. I had that information at my fingertips. But here's the rub. I didn't read from a script. That is when that note taking and that preparation starts becoming over prep. That's when it can possibly go too far. So there's a risk there of being so focused on the things that maybe you thought were important or the things that you really wanted to talk about that you are actually not answering the questions. You're actually not getting to the stuff that the hiring manager really needs to know about you. Now, we've talked a lot about interview prep in the past. You know that I strongly believe recruiters have a responsibility to give you as much insight as possible going into this conversation. They should be telling you, not only the structure of the interview, you're going to meet so many people, they're going to talk about these high-level competencies, what have you. Some companies will even give you the questions ahead of time. That's kind of interesting. I don't know if I would like that. I guess it wouldn't be a terrible thing. At least I'd know what you're going to ask. But I really enjoy interviews. I'm speaking as a candidate. I like interviews that are conversational. I like it when a story that I'm telling sparks another train of thought and the interviewer's like, oh, well, what about? And then we start kind of riffing off of some other thing. And it just I love those conversations. I think those are cool. I think they're authentic and organic. And really you get a lot of good data from those discussions. I wouldn't want to lose that. I don't want it to be a yes, no, pass, fail test. That doesn't feel right to me, but to each their own. Okay. I know, but I'm used to people disagreeing with me. It's fine. You don't have to like that. That's just me. But I do think that, again, recruiters have a responsibility to kind of give us the insights, the high level overview, general understanding, things like that. So using that information that we got from our helpful recruiter, hopefully, we are now creating kind of a cheat sheet, right? It's not a fully baked answer. It's a memory jogger. It's a reminder. It's a Reader's Digest summary version of it, right? And then I use that to go, yes, okay, cool. Start telling my story, answer the clarifying questions that may come up, follow the path the interviewer might be taking me down, and we have a really good, robust conversation that is grounded in the things that I prepped for and I determined would be important to talk about based on the prep I had with my recruiter. Okay? So that's where I find that really, really helpful. So can I be overprepared again? Yes. And this is how that shows up. There's two kind of general ideas that I'm going to share with you that I have actually gotten feedback on. I have actually talked with hiring authorities who've been like, yep, this happened. And no, we did not make those people offers, unfortunately. I hate that. So one is just the overly scripted. Okay, one is the person who has their notes right in front of them and they're reading from their notes and they're not deviating from the notes. And if it's not on the note page, they can't talk about it. And I've heard that feedback from interviewers before where, well, I asked a question and they shared this story, but then I asked them about the story and they couldn't explain anything. They couldn't go deeper. They couldn't go farther. They couldn't, there was like, it was almost like they were telling someone else's story and they didn't have enough information to tell me about other parts because it wasn't really their accomplishment. Now, whether or not that's true, I don't know. I wasn't there. I can't say that person was lying. I can only tell you that the interpretation was this person did not know anything or at least could not share anything about that accomplishment, example, whatever, aside from the very narrow specifics that they gave me. So that's a risk. If you're counting on just reading your notes or just talking through a very specific piece of feedback, that could be tricky. Sometimes interviewers like to go a little bit deeper. They want to understand the backstory. They want to understand, well, what happened next? Or they want to understand, how did you use that in another scenario? Whatever. So those clarifying questions, those follow-up questions are coming, most likely. Be prepared for them. Use those notes as a memory jogger, but be ready to talk through other maybe adjacent things that you did or results that you had or what have you. So that's a risk. The second one is, and we see this, I think this is more common now in this like post-COVID world, right? Most of us are doing like video calls for interviews. We don't see a ton of in-person necessarily. You still do some in some places, but there's a lot of like hop on a Zoom or whatever. Pro tip. If you are going to Google or ChatGPT answers, maybe you shouldn't wear glasses, because if those glasses are reflecting your screen right back to the hiring manager, guess what they're going to pick up on? True story. And this has happened. So, I've definitely gotten feedback from some interviewers are like, so lots of awkward pauses, typing noises in the background, eyes on the other screen, and then they would have an answer. Alrighty then. Wonder what's going on that other screen. So there's a risk, right? And so again, I think there's kind of having a cheat sheet or having kind of notes or prep, and then there's straight up Googling answers, which are clearly not going to be your examples, friends. Unless you're Googling yourself. I don't know what's going on there. It's very weird. So that's the risk, okay? So in a perfect world, yes, you are taking notes. Yes, you are leveraging some prepared memory joggers, reminders, whatever. But the conversation, and this goes for both sides, the interviewers need to do this as well. The conversation should be organic. The conversation should be free flowing. It should be conversational. Yes, you're going to have a specific topic, a specific competency, or whatever, but allow some room for the conversation to go wherever it goes. Within reason, of course, but it is absolutely okay to start talking about one thing, and then as you start unpacking it and peeling back the layers of that onion, you might discover some other really cool stuff that you want to learn more about that helps us say yes, we want to make an offer. That's the goal. That's the purpose of the interview, is to gather data to justify our decision to make you an offer. Help us help you. Be prepared, but not over prepared. There is a balance, friends, and I hope that this video helps you seek it out and find it for yourself. All right, y'all. We'll leave it there for now. Let me know down below if you have any questions on this, or there's anything we should go deeper on or explain more thoroughly. I did not have my notes with me, so I just kind of winged this one. But no, in all seriousness, I hope you're getting lots of interviews, and I hope those interviews are turning into offers. So let me know down below. Otherwise, see you next week.